My name is Mike, and I am involved in the biggest thing to ever happen to Broadway, the hit show Hamilton, conceived by myself and Lin-Manuel Miranda. Mostly Lin-Manuel Miranda, in that he wrote the words and the music. And, from a certain angle, he wrote all of it. I lived in New York while he wrote it. So that's the breakdown of the creative credit. I perform at Hamilton 8 times every week. I haven't quite made it to the stage just yet, but I'm certain somebody will notice me soon. How could they not? I'm an average guy living an ordinary life. However, about 4 years ago, something pretty out of the ordinary happened to me. My dad passed, and then communicated to me from the other side, from beyond the grave. Here's what happened. My dad died about 3.5 years ago. And obviously it was a devastating experience. It was a total shock. My father was a very healthy guy. If anyone in my family was going to live to be 100 years old, we thought it was going to be my father. So when he passed, a feeling I'd never felt before. It was more than just the loss. It was this horrible feeling of hopelessness and darkness, and I don't even know how to put it into words. And my sister, who's here tonight, had a friend who had lost a mother a couple of years before, and had an experience with this woman who claimed that she could speak to our loved ones who had crossed over. Of course, I'd heard of this kind of thing before.
Sister Otome, grant us the gift of your all-seeing presence. Appear before us now.
Mrs. Santiago?
Buenos dias.
I'm Otome Brown.
Not only was there this Hollywood stuff like Whoopi Goldberg's Oscar-winning turn as Oda Mae in Ghost, there were actual people, like a guy named John Edward, who claimed to be able to do this stuff for real.
Why is Niagara Falls significant?
We were just there.
You were just at Niagara Falls, okay.
Me and my daughter.
Did you find a feather there?
Yes. And
did you tell your daughter that was from Daddy? Yes. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on Crossing Over.
Well, wow. That's pretty impressive. There are people who claim they can talk to our loved ones in heaven. Now that sounded wonderful. But I was a biology major for 2 weeks in college. A physics major for another week, I think, as well. A guy of science. And, though I'm open-minded, I will admit that I was skeptical. And as it turns out, I wasn't the only one.
Harry, can you believe it? The same bullshit you so thoroughly debunked almost a century ago is continuing and even enjoying a resurgence. See? Anyone can talk to the dead. Getting an answer, that's the hard part. Bullshit.
Yeah, Penn and Teller were definitely skeptical. More than skeptical. They actually carried real contempt for people who claimed they could do this.
Before we bust up this party, and God damn it, we're going to bust it up, we have to make it very clear where our hearts are. We have nothing but empathy for the people who are experiencing the loss and grief of the death of a loved one. I'm a mama's boy whose mom died a couple years ago, and I'll never get over it. Once you've felt that pure grief, seeing it exploited can take away your sense of humor. These performance artists are, in a very real sense, motherfuckers. All he will ever have left of his mom are memories, and this pig is pissed on those for $1 and a little unearned fame.
I see him working with something. His hands are holding a thing, a lantern. No. Take it back. That was dumb. He did hold a thing.
Yes, he held books. He was a teacher. This is incredible.
Okay, a teacher. He was a teacher. And for some reason, I'm getting a school. Does that mean anything?
So, I needed some proof. This woman was coming to our house, and she was very adamant that she wanted to know nothing about us. All she knew was my sister's first name and where to meet us. That's all she knew. So to test this, I was at my dad's house that day. My dad lived in a house in Connecticut in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere. And I was there all by myself. And I said, Dad, if this is real, if you're really there tonight, I want you to mention my hair. And the reason I said that is because you'll notice that though my hair is great, there's nothing terribly remarkable about it. It's just kind of, normal hair. But when I was a little kid, my dad, I would beg the poor man for hours to play with my hair to help me fall asleep. 5 more minutes, Dad, 5 more minutes. And he would do it. He would play with my hair. So she comes to the house and does this reading, and it lasts for a couple of hours. And everything she says is so remarkably accurate that I can't figure out what's happening. It was mind-blowing, totally mind-blowing. And I was absolutely convinced that something was going on here that I couldn't explain. And then we're wrapping up to leave, and for the icing on the cake, she looks at me and she says, he wants to mention your hair. And I gasped. I hadn't even told my mom or my sister. No one on the planet knew that, only me. And in that moment, my life changed.
I'm sure these lame fucks tell themselves that they're easing the grief, but skits for money cannot replace loving memories. How low do you have to be to exploit someone's true grief to sell some bullshit book?
So, which was it? Was I, as Penn suggests, being taken by a huckster? Is that a real word? That suddenly doesn't sound like a real word. But by a con artist? By a snake oil saleswoman? Or was I actually in the presence of someone who could do something extraordinary? Something that science can't yet explain, but that is, nonetheless, as real as a round earth turned out to be. I needed to see more to get to the bottom of things.